Hi there, this is Jim the Keys bartender coming to you drainless today. Drainless, yeah. Episode 366, I had a drain taken out, so I look normal. I mean, as normal as I get, right? Uh, this morning I had the end of the surgery, and I had the final, well, the scar is still a remnant, I guess, but the drain that was sticking out of it with the felt like there were metal wires connecting the drain, and I don't even go through the detail of it, but it was a culmination of it. This is what I was looking forward, just getting the drain. And I know I have a little more healing to do before I can go and lift weight and do stuff like that to go to work. But I got up early this morning, couldn't really sleep. I was excited about it, just having this done. You know, who wants to look like? And if it happened around Halloween, I could have won as Frankenstein or something like that. But the scar was in the wrong area on the side. And today, South Florida, driving from the Keys is normally an uneventful when it comes to I'm here, I'm stuck on surgery. When it comes to driving north in a non-busy season, especially a week after New Year's Eve, easy traffic going up there and stuff like that. I put the address for the doctor's office, followed everything, tended to get up there 25 minutes early, and I did get to the destination pointed to me by the MapQuest or Google Maps, and what it was a shopping center. It was in between a Planet Fitness and formerly, I guess it was Dick's Sporting Goods. I felt like a dick going to a place, and I'm going, oh, I know there isn't, I know when I'm getting closer I'm at the wrong place. So I'm one of the first appointments. Remember, I complain when it comes to the doctor's office. I don't like midday appointments. Too many people, too many schedules going later and later and later. So I got one of the early ones, 9 o'clock. And I'm calling the doctor's office, and the doctor's office wasn't, really open yet when I was calling to try to get the right address. And it turned out they said, just look for the hospital. And it was on the other side of the turnpike, the Florida Turnpike. So it was about two miles away. It's weird how it puts it there. I follow it blindly when I don't know where I'm going. And I noticed the streets weren't even lining up. So, I panicked because I wanted to get the drain out. That was my big thing. I started thinking, please just let me get there. And I'm racing around I'm looking for the building, the name of the building now. Luckily, I'm not in Miami. I'm in Homestead, so there's not tons of buildings near the Baptist Hospital. And I don't blame anybody in particular. It's just the nuances of technology, just like the problem I have with my audio for my updated driver on Windows, the updated Windows thing I did where I lost the audio. I still working on that. I'm working on the Chrome. So I ended up getting to the office right at 9 o'clock, and I had to apologize. I'm not a right on time person. I'm usually 10 minutes of. I'm 10 minutes of. That was the thing. You're either 10 minutes early or you're late. Showing up right on time. It's good for appointments. Obviously, if you're managing a heist or some kind of mercenary attack, ambush, you have to be dead on, synchronized. But when it comes to timing, so my appointment was pretty much 2 hours ago. It's 5 after 11. And I finally got in at 9 o'clock, and I sat down. I needed to use the bathroom, but they had a couple papers for me to fill out. I said, you know what, let me fill these papers out, and I run down to the bathroom. And everything was eventually taken care of. I got to see the doctor. Now I can talk to the doctor. I asked the doctor if I could mention the doctor, Dr. Schell. He was excellent. He's an ENT down here in South Florida. He did a great job. My he gave me all the disclaimers about I could have got facial paralysis, lose the sense of taste, have a problem with my salivary glands, and all that. Right now, I'm still have the remnants of numbness, but that's typical for this operation, and I'm imagining a lot of the feelings going to be coming back in that area. And when he did take, he mentioned there's going to be a little pinch for pulling the drain out, and I didn't want to see how far it was in, because who wants to see something like that? Well, I heard it. I didn't look at it. I didn't do the side glance, but I heard it just go out, and it grossed me out. I was so hungry up to that point. I'm thinking I'm going to be able to eat like normal people, be able to go out. And after I heard that sound, I thought, oh, I'm going to have a couple more hours of not necessarily wanting to eat. But right now I can walk around with nothing. I got me, they glued the scar together. There's a couple remnants of the thing there, and I got a small bandage over the hole where the drain was. All I'm doing is waiting for it to heal now. I got another 6 days in front of me to do that. So everything's good, and I'm going to see if I can be able to actually in the next week be able to, when you end up having a little more time and you need to do something. I wanted to be productive, because I can't do anything around the house right now. That involves lifting. I could do some handy things, I think. They say no lifting. I got a big grill to put together, but as long as I'm not picking up a section that's more than 20 pounds, probably can, I could probably do that. I'm going to see if I can get that together. But the main thing is thinking about the podcast. What am I going to do? I've been looking for sponsors. Right now, I got a couple other things I need to take care of. I need to get the eyesight checked out. Got some funky thing going on with the left eye. And this isn't a medical. This is turning out, I guess the last couple months, it's been like a fucking medical show. Well, that's over. My other stuff, that stuff is done. I have another appointment on February 9th. That part's over. They gave me the pathology report. Everything's benign. They said they cleared it of all, the tissue that was there. It was the size of a walnut. So I'm done talking about that now. There's nothing preventing me from creating a better show and to move on with my goals for 2021. And my goal for 2021 is eventually, I guess I'm going to have to get vaccinated, because I want to start doing it. I don't think I'd be responsible of me to go, since I'm a bartender, to go someplace and start interviewing people. Because when you interview people, or whatever I'm doing now, when I'm meeting someone nowadays, there's a limited liability comes to when you're just meeting someone. Because there's a possibility, and this is my head, that I could be asymptomatic at any time. Just because I don't have symptoms, at this point, I'm just worried about spreading. Because of where my job is. I'm a bartender. And it's a high-risk job for becoming infected. I'm not saying a high-risk job for, it's just you come into a lot of contact with people, even with the mask and the hands and the sanitizing and stuff like that. And there's a couple of the things, and a couple of the variations of the virus. So I'm just thinking in my head, what's the responsible thing to do? Right? I'm going to eventually, we're going to get on to the other side and might as well start thinking about the conversion process of moving the show from one where we did it remotely from someone's tiki bar or from my house to a place such as the Catch restaurant, maybe the Blackwater Siren again, and other places. We're going to see, I want to actually get into we're going to try to figure out, and this is a thing I got to get a sponsor for, so I can get the sound set up, so I can do, get some entertainment going for the show. Make it more like a talk show. which it is. It's essentially it's a talk show because I'm talking. Almost every show is a talk show, but I'm not doing research. It's not true crime. It's basically like that's what he wanted the Keys Bartender show to be. Just a thing where you're fucking around talking about almost anything that you would at a bar. And we're at the Keys Bar where people come from all over the world. Just like any other. I'm sure there's New York bartender and Manhattan bartender. There's all those things. But this is the Keys Bartender. So I take it from my perspective. I'm a Keys bartender. This is what we're going to talk about. And we're going to start talking about liquor. I've been one of the big topics coming in probably 2021 is, hey, Jim, Keys Bartender show. You'd be a perfect fit to have a liquor company or a brewery or something to be in there, and you can represent. You could do it inside. But you won't be able to suggest something from taste. And I said, well, I can suggest what people find, what people really like. And I have some ideas for these things. I just don't want to start saying things. And I've been really good about that, not saying things. I don't want to screw the pooch when it comes to future sponsors. I've been reaching out to some people. I figure we can do hand in hand, do some promotions here and there and stuff like that. I mean, the Dr. Schell. God, I screwed that up. I'm sorry, Dr. Schell. Dr. Schell, who did the surgery, I asked him, I said, hey, listen, you mind if I mention you, on the podcast? And I mentioned his crew. The guy didn't really tell me his name, the guy from the OR. They said they were listening to the podcast during the surgery. Oh, I forgot to say that. They were listening to the podcast through the surgery. I'm glad I didn't say any shit during the surgery. Because he could have put, I'm not saying he would do something like that or any doctor would do something. They could have done something funny at that time, They could put googly eyes on my nutsack and pretend my penis is a nose. Not that this should be down there because the operation was taking place pretty much above the neck. At the top of the neck. So there shouldn't have been any operation to mess around down there. And if you did, imagine you didn't take any pictures or anything. They took pictures of the wound probably. But I never, if I had my druthers, but they gave me that anesthesia cocktail, I don't know why I mentioned when I went in that I have a podcast. Because someone took their smartphone and they put it on and they started listening to it. And heard me say some, weird stuff. And they said, oh, I hope you don't shit talk us when you're done. Well, I told them, I said, listen, I'm not going to, even after I was going to wait till after everything's done. And I can give you a unencumbered review. And my review was, for someone who doesn't go and spend a lot of time in the medical environment, I don't, get checked out all the time, which I should get checked out more. I realize that my experience was not horrible. And it accomplished, obviously, it was probably great because it accomplished what I needed to do. Eventually, when things came out. The doctor looked competent. The staff looked competent. Everyone was friendly. There was a little nervousness when it was coming to time because I had this thing. But I have to say, Dr. Schell and Company, you did a great job. And I appreciate that. And now I'm able to move on with the next phase. And like I said, I became a liar again because I said I'm not going to talk about it anymore. But I'm really not talking about surgery, am I? Just talking about things you got to take care of. Because 2021 is all about doing things now. We've got to workarounds and stuff like that. We have COVID, and we have increased infections and rates of infection, and we got variants coming in from United Kingdom and South Africa, and we got the vaccination coming up. And there's got to be, it's a lot slower than they expected it to be. There were promises made that there were going to be 20 million vaccinations done by the end of the year, this past year, not, which hopefully we have like most of all the vaccinations done by this year. And I hate to break it to people that are traveling right now, with the vaccination coming around, there's probably going to be a decision, if you think about it, when the airline, there's going to be, especially with different countries and things like that, especially with the United States, there's going to be a lot of countries that are going to be demanding vaccination records for people that are traveling. So you may not be going anywhere. You can go to a place like Mexico, maybe, and I apologize, Mexico, but you seem to be one of the places where Americans are going, where they don't want restrictions. There's a lot of people out there that are having problems. There's a big anti-mask movement going on. They say it doesn't protect. The rest of the world seems to think it works. And for some reason, someone's using the mask thing. They think the mask thing is part of a bigger conspiracy. The mask is not a conspiracy. It's not like the mark of the devil. They're putting a number on you and stuff like that. Now, people may say that vaccination, there's probably going to be some interesting new theories, borderline theories, crackpot theories going on out there. So that'll be interesting in 2021. But you want to get things done. I understand that. Being able to wear a mask, I don't know. I don't really like podcasting with a mask because of my inability to be clear sometimes. When you're someone who had a fucking speech impediment you dealt with when you were young, and you still have it, there's always, I'm talking about myself. You're reluctant. I realize that any barrier I put between me and getting my message across, that's why this online thing, when, I was able to do remote through Skype, interview people, bring groups of people together, it was great. Continue the show. It's not exactly the show I wanted to do, because I wanted to do a show that was more dynamic. I mean, there's people in there. I bring them in. You hear that. I want to be able to hear some of the noise in the background, hear some people yelling. That'd be great. It sucks when you're interrupted, but that's life, right? And I think the Keys Bartender Show will probably work out best that way. That's my intention for 2021. My intention is to get vaccinated, be able to go places, still within whatever rules they have. If I have to do it with a mask, I'm going to do it with a mask. Maybe I don't know if I put the mask over my microphone, headset mic, or underneath, or because if I use a headset mic, I can just do that. I think we'll have to consider that, but I know I'm probably going to do in the next week or so, maybe this week, I may do a podcast, just a solo one, from the Catch restaurant, and I'll do it from on a Wednesday or Tuesday or Thursday. Who knows? Today's Tuesday, so if I don't do it this week, maybe Thursday. Who knows? And I promised that I'd do one with my neighbor, Steve, but I still have to move the ball with sponsorship, and I don't necessarily how to do it. If I'm going to talk to a sponsor, do I need to have all my ducks in a row? Am I going to say, hey, listen, this is what I'm looking for a sponsor. You can pay this. So this is normally what we do. So dealing with a big corporation, I usually probably have to go through an agency. So I have to figure that out. But doing something small, maybe something local, since we are the Keys Bartender, maybe I'll approach businesses down here and some resorts. I think it might be nice. It might be nice going to maybe the only all-inclusive resort. I know for notoriety's sake, the Lovers Boutique would be like an excellent location, because I do want to do a little bit there and set up a table and have a little setup that says what's in your bag. And hopefully, if there's enough people there, maybe I'll push it beforehand. If there's enough people there, I can get someone who may want to get on the show. And it's not something I'm not going to go and stick a mic in their face. And once again, it's a podcast. I don't have to have a visual. We won't have a visual thing on there. We could have a visual thing. I may do that. But that may not make, that may make the people uncomfortable that could get on there. I know this is how the wheels are turning and stuff like that. And also, we want to make another trip down to Key West. Yep. Key West is still in play. What are we going to do? Well, probably going to reestablish some of the ties we have. Probably talk to the people down there that we have. Maybe talk to the mayor. That's another one I want to interview with, how things went on. I could have talked to the mayor right now. But without my sound system work on my laptop, there's no way to incorporate that in the show. I might have to do something different. I may have to migrate because every time I talk to the provider here, Spreaker, the one that manages the put out my show here, they don't manage my show. I record it, it goes on their platform, and then goes out. But they don't understand the difficulty I'm having getting the microphone working and getting the sound in, which is something I have to deal with. So, like I said, fucking technology. Technology worked great for me for the medical thing. And also, I'm going to be probably making a purchase of a vehicle, and I'm going to see how that's going to work out, because the one I'm driving right now is not going to make too many trips down to Key West. And I'm one to drive a vehicle into the ground. I'll let it go and take it all the way in. I don't leave a lot left in it. Even though the car looks good on the outside, it's probably not going to fetch that much in trade. So I'm prepared for that. So we'll see what happens with that. That's going to be an interesting thing for 2021. So we got the goals with the show. We got the car. We got physical fitness. I got to get there. I got to take care of the body. So I'm going to go. I lost some weight here, but I think I got a little soft in the middle. But also I don't have that big belly, so I could probably get under my 220. I can get back to near the weight I got into when I traveled first to the Keys. And let's see what I can do from there. I'll probably have to change, not drastically, but somewhat. I do a lot of carbs and protein now since I'm just a year or 2 years, this August, 2 years away from 60. But I'm not kidding myself. I'm not going to look like I'm 30 years old or something like that, but I want to be very well taken care of, or someone that takes care of themselves. 60-year-old. That's my vanity. That's where the doctor say, "Oh, you might have a scar," and he was being tentative, like, listen, I'm not Brad Pitt or George Clooney. I'm not worried about the close-up or anything like that. I was never perfect. Look, I did have a certain amount of ego about the way I looked. I know that. So you should, you should have some pride in your appearance, but I'm not overly proud of my appearance. So, and since I got older, I think I got more reasonable about it. And since I had a medical procedure, if anybody said, "Oh, what happened there?" And so, I had a tumor, and luckily they were able to take it out eventually. And this is the remnants of it. And I'm not, because I had bad acne when I was a kid. So, you end up looking like you're going to look like, when you're whatever, and you deal with it. Some people were dealt really good hands. Some people were dealt more challenging hands. I was probably fortunate. Then. I'm not going to be too egocentric about it, but I was more, I think I was more blessed, but I wasn't perfect. And I accepted that. It would suck being perfect. I see people when they walk, you ever see those people? They're walking around, you look like, oh my God, what are you, a fucking elf? They got flawless skin, perfect physique, and it's a man or a woman. You're looking at people, but I mean, I may be more attentive to a woman. I try not to be overly, I guess, attentive when you see someone like that. But some people are so good looking it's startling, right? And I can see how some of it is could be an obstacle for them to talk to people. I never had that. I mean, I've had some girls every so often when they were drinking, they thought I was like the best looking guy in the world. But then you got to remember there's people like that. And there's some people you got to consider as a source, depending on what they, sometimes people think you're the greatest looking guy in the world when you're nice to them. And things like that. Don't get me wrong. I'm not a bad looking guy. I've been told I'm handsome and stuff like that. I realize that. But what I'm saying is, I'm able to accept the imperfections I had. Because there were many. There were many imperfections. Not one glaringly so. Not like, poor people have that and they have certain deformities and they deal with them. And they deal with them. Those people have great characters, generally. People that deal with their problems and how they interact with people out there. Now, get on the flip side when someone's perfect. Think of those. Think of those actresses. Think of Melanie Griffith. Put that in there. Or Meg Ryan. Or Michelle Pfeiffer. And there was just people you look at and you say, oh my God, look at that picture. And they do this close up and they just, or they just depend on their looks. I mean, they're supermodels. They were all looks. Generally all looks. I mean, some obviously they have other things going for them. They have to. They're a human being. It's not like they're a robot. They have to be able to do something else. They generally they have other skills, but they usually, when they're so good looking, they don't have a tendency to look and say, hey, that person actually makes a very good omelet. They're good at making omelets. No. Just remember that she had a perfect body and perfect face. So when they start getting older, they start grasping at the straws, the things that they were known for. And if you didn't have a healthy conceit, a self-conceit, and you thought that was pretty much your calling card, was the looks. And when they start fading, that's when you see the people get those go more and more out in these outliers with cosmetic surgery, and one on top of the other. I did. I messed around with Just for Men hair coloring one time. I did the beard thing. And then I realized with the hair coloring stuff, like if you do that, you're going to always have to do it. And I looked at these other guys with really dark hair, and they just, once you committed to that, it's like telling somebody, yeah, I'm a great golfer, to go back and you go, oh, I'm a great golfer, great. And you never went on the golf course, and all of a sudden you're hitting the ball and you're doing shit like I do, hitting the ball and go straight up and you're looking for it. You think you hit it downrange and it hits you on the head. That's the fucking thing I have to go through. So, I was blessed with an acceptance of how I was, so that was not, I guess they're used to telling people that because every time I went into surgery, they come on saying, this is the amount of scar, we're going to try to hide the scar, blah, 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 blah. And I go, listen, when I grew up, I thought when I was a kid, I thought one of the coolest guys in the world was Moshe Dayan. He was this Israeli general, their commanding general, and he was a war hero. But Moshe Dayan had this eye patch. And Moshe Dayan was not, was not a handsome man. But his name was Moshe Dayan. He was an Israeli war hero. Wasn't very good looking, but he had an eye patch. Put those things together, one of the fucking coolest guys in the world. I mean, whenever they ever have a bad guy, sometimes they put an eye patch on him, or they're a good guy with an eye patch. Just give him a little edge. He had the battle scars and shit like that. The coolest thing. I think, scars actually create character. So, look at Seal. Seal never, he may have had plastic surgery or something like that, but he had those, I don't know if that's polio scars or whatever, or pox. He had pox scars on the side of his face. Or it could have been the things they did in his country. It was like a facial tattoo. I'm not sure. I'm sure it's something from a medical condition. But it didn't stop him. There's tons of people who do that. So when it comes to, if you're not set for perfection, if you always had to kind of work at stuff and try to take care of it, you're not that off put. You don't feel like, if I got this face, and your face starts getting, you start getting dark circles and shit like that. And then you get the sag under the chin. And you go, oh shit, So it's a hard break from that for some people. You can tell some of the guys, some actors when they say they get better looking as they get older, a little rougher, stuff like that. So that works for women too. Women, it's just, I'm not saying they get rougher and stuff like that, but some women just maintain a grace about them as they get older. And you still see it, and they don't get as conceited in there, but there's other ones, they're going to be fine. So the next couple of years, going to see that with the Longevity Institute and Human Growth Hormone and plastic surgery. There's going to be some leaps and bounds going on there. I told you that in one of this previous shows, there was this woman that used to come in a restaurant, the Encore restaurant, and she was coming. She was a beautiful blonde, beautiful. And came in, and but she always wore very kind of like full, long shirts, shirts that went up to her neck, and all that stuff. And I looked at her and said, but something gave me this idea. I'm looking at this woman. She looked like she was like in her early 40s. Right? But then as you looked at her, the rest of her body, she had a body of like a really thin 70-year-old. And you look at the hands, and they're still not able to really get to the hands yet for people. And you could tell by the hands, and you go, oh my God, I thought she had a condition. No, she did not. She was a 70-something-year-old lady who had exceptional plastic surgery. But she might as well just had a fucking head transplant. You know what I mean? I'm going to take the head off of this body, put it on this one. Someday there's going to be some, people always said, oh, there's going to be a future where people are going to transplant heads. They're going to steal bodies, and they're just going to get the body of a, young, beautiful woman and, get your head fixed up and then put it on there, or stick their brain, brain transplant. That's, dystopian future fiction. But people don't always forget that we go through these gaps of technology. Like, there was a digital tape recorder where they made instead of a CD, there was a tape. They used the same format, but they put it on the tape. But then they realized we can record on the CD. So there's these gaps, meaning this technology rises for a short time. The Betamax, the VHS. Then you got MP3, MP4, video storage and all that stuff. They don't really use tape. You store it on a recordable hard drive, or thumb drive or whatever. There's just brief lapses, this technology. So if you're making medical ones, they did when it came to, let's say, the heart, they did the baboon heart, and then they did mechanical heart, and then human hearts, right? And now, it's up in between. They're not doing, I don't think they're doing many baboon hearts or mechanical hearts. They're just doing human hearts. They'll probably be able to get, eventually, the human hearts, the mechanical heart probably get to be pretty good once you make small pumps and everything, and they're reliable, and they last for 100, 200 years. Who knows, right? Because right now, they're like mufflers, right? You get a hip. You hear these hips, they're good for 15 years, good for 15. Oh, you're right. What the hell? It's metal. How could the bones work for 100 years for some people. But then you get a metal one, a metal and plastic one, and it's good for 15 years. So bones are better. I think part of it's the repair and things like that. It's interesting. But I'm saying with the dystopian future thing, they always show like the crazy ideas like, oh, what have people they're just going to take young people's bodies and put their minds in them. Instead of the logical conclusion is to start gene therapy. That's eventually what they're probably going to do. Gene therapy. They're going to try to say we want to be able to repair the cells, bring them back to like if this person was 30 years old or something like that. They're going to do that, whatever the simplest way of doing it, the least invasive, because I don't think there's going to be a lot of people lining up in the beginning. It says, well, I really want to stay young. So they're going to say they're going to take my brain out of my head and put it in this person's brain. Well, what if that head rejects my brain? Then you're dead. I mean, who knows? The brain transplant. That's what we should really call this episode, the brain transplant. I think there's a lot of people, they said, well, that person needs a brain transplant. I said, well, who you are is your brain. And they go, what? I said, if you're without your brain, I mean, people say you have your neural system, your whole feeling, your whole extensive nervous system is you, and your body's you. Meaning, what the essence of you, like if they took someone and put them inside a computer, you can just hear them, they can exist. Their thoughts can exist, their thinking can exist, their memories can exist. They said that really wouldn't be that person. Because they have a way they move about the world, the way they talk to people, the way they hear things, the way they see things, and it controls the way they act. So when I say your brain is you, meaning if without your brain, there's your body. That's it. It's just there. And without the brain, it's a dead body, obviously. And then eventually it's not to be gross, but it's worm food. So anytime when they talk about things, when they swap brains and stuff like that, I'm like, hey, there's no remnant of that person. If they don't have a brain, they don't really, I hate to say it like that. I know there's whatever your spiritual thing, that's on a different level, and you can't really prove that medically. But the brain, the stuff where we know things, the I am who I am, that's your brain. And then if people say, where's your mind? Well, your brain is heavily influenced, it's tied to the mind. The mind could be the whole body. That's the thing where you get into the deep discussion about who's the essence of you. What is the essence of you? Is which part of the brain is you? Is it all your brain? Is it all your brain? Is it all your mind? I mean, all your brain is your mind. And then you have your nervous system, and then you have your autonomic system. You have all these automatic systems going in your body, and your cells and things like that. And that's all you. And it creates who you are. And it creates the mind. So you react to things. Your memory, your everything is tied to the whole body, not some part of you inside that just exists without the body. It's hard to think about that, isn't it? Like, are you without any feelings or any interaction and stuff like that? Are you still that person without those other sensations you have? Your speech, your hearing, your smell, your taste. Where you feel cold, warm, achy. I'm telling you, man, I feel worlds different without just that one thing. I did it. I'm pointing my neck. I got a tiny little thing there now. I mean, I look as normal as I get. As fucking normal as I get. I'm pretty close to that. You got the little thing, maybe I had a little rough, and maybe I could tell someone got in a little knife fight with someone. And they almost got me, but I made it. And they go, oh, okay. Or you can just say, hey, I had a tumor taking over my parotid. Well, that's enough of that. Like I said, we're not going to talk about that anymore. I'd like to thank you for listening today. I'd like to thank again for Dr. Schell handling everything and taking care of this, taking care of me. I'd like to thank all my friends who helped me get to this point. My friends down here in Key Largo, outside Philly, all around the country, all around the world. Thank you for helping out. I told you I'd make a recovery. I told you I wouldn't interrupt. I told, Baptist Health System did a great job for me. I really appreciate it. I hope to be in the next week to be back at work, slinging drinks, doing more of the stuff I love. This is one of them, doing a podcast. And if you are listening, you can do me a favor, share this podcast with your friends. If you have someone that would be interested in being a sponsor, I'm new to the talk of entertaining sponsors, so we do something in the beginning. Don't try to trap me. I won't try to trap you, okay? And we can get the word out. And you see how I pitched that. So share this with your friends. This is the Keys Bartender podcast. You can also find it under Florida Keys Bartender. You can find it almost all your apps. So if you talk to somebody and say, well, I don't have Spreaker. Well, you don't have to have Spreaker. You can listen to it on Google, iTunes, Spotify, TuneIn, iHeart, everything, Podchaser, almost everything out there you can hear it. And you don't have to pay for it. They don't have to pay for it. And I'll try to get some, things in. Now, don't be put off by me not drinking, because I am a bartender and I can push your liquor. And I can push it without being someone that is addicted to it. May I tell you how people react to it? I'm not saying it good and bad, positive one, how they ask for it. What's the most popular items? So we're going to be doing that. I'm going to be driving that. It's a little experiment, and you'll see me come along, and I'll tell you exactly what's going on, folks. I'm not going to keep a secret to it. But I'd like to thank you for listening. I'd like to thank you for caring. Obviously, you care a bit. I'd like to thank again my friends in India. Like I said, if you want to send me an email, we'd love to talk to you guys. If I send me an email, I know it's you listening. Right? Or Canada, another country. I care about you guys. So I appreciate you for listening. I appreciate you for sharing. Let's get some more listeners so I can start doing my sponsor thing. And let's get to that point where I'm at different places. And I would like to start offering, different selections and weird shit. I just like weird shit to happen. And weird shit happens when you're out there. That's just the way it is. If you're open to it, weird shit will happen to you. Not too much weird shit happens to you when you never go out there. You don't have the opportunity for weird shit to happen. But 2021, we're going to get some more weird shit. It's be good weird shit, but some weird shit. I'd like to thank you for listening again, and this is Jim signing off.